Let's talk about the details of brainstorming. Firstly, why should we brainstorm? Brainstorming is a great way of solving problems and coming up with new ideas. It allows you to examine the problems from outside the boundaries of normal thinking and understand the issues and root causes and come up with alternative solutions. Brainstorming can also be used for impact analysis and decision making, as I've mentioned in other videos. In the project management context, you can brainstorm from the objectives and goals down to the tasks to explore new ideas, possibilities, and alternatives. It gives a much more understandable and complete plan than what you would get if you just stuck to task level planning. Brainstorming can be great for team building where you have shared discussions, and also for individual ideation, and has the benefits of improving initiative and innovation within an organization or individually, as well as improving quality and profitability, efficiency and morale. The basic concept behind brainstorming is to capture ideas as quickly as possible so that you can get past the judgment that you typically use to assess ideas before recording them, and instead we want to capture the ideas as they occur, assuming no money, time, resource or any other constraint, and also without judgment, building on ideas as you think of them, as well as pushing yourself to think in new directions. The concept is that out of quantity comes quality. There will be great ideas in amongst the many ideas you throw out there. As you think of the ideas, you record keywords on branches. At the moment, you don't care where you put the branches because you can graph them elsewhere later, but if it isn't slowing you down, you might like to do some high-level grouping by putting some of the main branches in place and adding ideas related to them as sub-branches. In order to keep up with the recording of ideas, in Novamind you have the Brainstorm system, which you can turn on in the Windows version of Novamind by right-clicking while you're editing text and turning it on in the context menu, and if you're using the Mac version, you can show the tool palette from the window menu and then click on the lightning bolt icon to turn on Brainstorm. With Brainstorm, you just press return or enter after each idea and the sub-branches are automatically created for you and you can keep on typing. Sometimes when you're brainstorming, you'll get stuck and run out of ideas completely, or you may just think that there should be more ideas related to an idea you have on the map already, but you can't think of what it might be at the time. So let's look at some ways of getting unstuck. Firstly, if you think there should be more ideas related to an existing branch or additional concepts to come from the title of the mind map, add blank branches to your mind map, because your subconscious mind hates having things unfinished and it'll go looking for ideas to fill in the empty branches. You can also take a break and go away and either do something else or go for a walk or something like that. Doing something else lets your subconscious mind work on the problem and come up with answers when it's not under pressure. Repetitive activities like walking are particularly good for getting the thoughts to surface. If you have iBlueSky on the iPhone or iPod Touch, take it with you and you can mind map your thoughts as you go. You might find that a change of scenery like going to the park or down by the sea may lead to a different sort of inspiration where you come up with different ideas. Even if you don't have an iPhone or iPod Touch, you should make sure that you take something with you which will allow you to record ideas as you think of them rather than trying to remember them until you get back to the office. Very often, when we're thinking about a topic, we get stuck in a groove, which is like a well-worn track in our thinking, and it's very hard to break out of that and come up with new ideas. This is where the suggesterator comes into play, and you can select a number of ideas related to the selected branch and add them as sub-branches. Note that the suggesterator is a free extension to Novamind, which you'll need to download and install. At the top of the list are words that are linguistically reasonably closely related to the word on the selected branch, and as you get down the list, the ideas are more off the wall, to take your thinking in completely new directions. This helps break the train of thinking and introduce completely new ideas. Another idea is to look at similar problems in different domains and seeing if you can apply solutions that worked in that domain to the idea that you're brainstorming about. You can also ask the question, how would others solve or approach this issue or problem? This is particularly useful when you take the point of view of other parties involved in the problem or impacted by the solution. You can ask questions like who, what, why, when, where, how often, and who does this impact, and this can encourage yourself to look at the problem from a different perspective. And finally, ask the question, if there was another solution, what would it be? This is an idea that came from neurolinguistics, and it brings your imagination into play. It's like saying, I know that there's no other option, but just for a moment imagine that there was another option. If there was another option, what would it be? And almost every time your imagination kicks in and supplies another idea, and then once that door that was closing off the ideas has opened up, it's often like floodgates opening up and you start coming up with dozens more ideas. Now, when you've recorded enough ideas, you need to reorganize them by grouping them. So you start with the overall concepts and then organize the ideas as sub-branches so that you can see the big picture and the details. Where there are important ideas, make sure that they are highlighted with adornments or images or by color and so on. And also, if there are ideas that are related to more than one group, put them in the group that they're most closely associated with and show the secondary association using link lines. Now, let's just drill down a bit and have a look at some important points for both brainstorming by yourself and in a group. The most critical thing is to define the problem or topic clearly first. Have a look at the problem-solving video to remind yourself of the 4 Cartesian quadrants of problem definition by asking the questions, what is the problem? What is it not? We have this problem because, and we don't have a solution because. Apply these thoughts to the topic that you're examining. Also, define your desired outcome so that you know when you've achieved your objective. Now start with the subject as the mind map title and imagine that you have your inner advisor giving you ideas and solutions using the techniques that we've already mentioned. Start adding top-level branches and then children branches as required without judgment or limitation and not worrying too much about organization. Stop when you have either run out of ideas and have exhausted the ideas we just mentioned for getting unstuck, or when you've collected enough ideas or come up with enough appropriate solutions. It's only after you have collected the ideas that you evaluate and organize them, and in the process you sometimes need to expand the best ideas to give more concrete detail so that they can be implemented. Now, when you're mind mapping in a group, you need some structures and methods in place to make sure that the whole process goes smoothly and efficiently. You should appoint a recorder, a session leader, and everyone else is the panel. You don't want a huge group though. Groups of more than about 10 or 15 people can get quite difficult to manage in a brainstorming context, and it may be best to split into different groups and then combine the ideas later, or consider different aspects of the topic. Now, the next point is very important. There have been at least 25 studies done since 1958, which all show that if you try and brainstorm with an entire group without individual brainstorming first, you end up with fewer and lower quality ideas. So, first go through the definition of the topic and the intended outcome with the participants to make sure that you're all on the same page, and then do the individual brainstorming and return to share the ideas, making sure that you give everyone a fair say. As the ideas are mentioned and recorded in the overall mind map, there are going to be ideas relating to those topics that come up from other participants, and these should be recorded, again without judgment or constraints, and also without elaboration. You just want the keywords. Then the process of grouping, culling and elaboration is much the same as for individual brainstorming. With this structure in place and using these techniques, you'll be able to brainstorm ideas and solutions either individually or in a group and come up with better solutions and ideas.